Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. All right, so we've got another warning coming through on the channel. And for some of you, this might be related to yesterday's message and you might feel called to listen to that one. It might give you a more well-rounded perspective of what's been going on behind the scenes, but that is just for some. And that very much depends on where you sit in this equation. And I really do feel like equation is the perfect word to describe what it is that I'm picking up on in this reading, because this is a very karmic situation for a masculine energy. Now, that might be you, but I think for most of you, this is somebody that you are involved with or that you have been involved with, because there's at least one person here, right? There's a couple situations that this might be. So the first is that you're involved with this masculine in some type of routine way. So you're routinely seeing each other. You're in routine communication. For some of you, you might live with this masculine and share routines. That's one situation here. The other situation is that this is somebody from your past, where maybe you had that kind of setup with him in the past, or there is just some type of like unfinished romantic business between the two of you. Those are two situations here, because I feel like this masculine feels pulled into different directions that have to do with like two women for different reasons. And he's got to sort those reasons out, because the very fact that he feels pulled in these directions means that there's something here on a spiritual level that he does not understand. And it's like how to work with his own system, what he's truly feeling, what his values actually are. There's something deeper here that he doesn't understand, because if this man was whole and healed and knowledgeable in a way that was integrated, he would not feel this pull. He would be seeing the situation for what it is, and he would make his decisions accordingly. And that's small decisions and big decisions here as well, because he doesn't seem to understand how his small, seemingly like nonchalant decisions, make way for the bigger decisions, and that he is in fact responsible for that. Because I think some of these masculines are like, I don't know, I just kind of found myself in this position, when absolutely no, he did not. So he's in this very karmic situation where he's got a decision that he needs to make. And this man doesn't know how to make decisions. And that is some of the karma that's playing down. And we'll talk more about that. Now, he knows that he has this decision, because it's either like put upon him right now and the word put upon, right? It's really coming through. The word pawn is really standing out to me. It's like he wants to make some type of like strategic move, right? But put upon him. So it could be that something here has occurred in like the physical space where he's like, okay, now I've got to make this decision. Oh crap. But I feel like he wouldn't be in that position if he had made better decisions. And what I'm really getting with that is being single is an option. And it was the option. But I feel like this guy doesn't do that. And again, we'll talk about that kind of later on in the message, but that is kind of the root cause. He wouldn't be in this position if he had kind of done the right thing. So that's one option. It could also be that he just knows that this decision is coming forward because he's reaching a stage in a relationship, or potentially multiple relationships here that he's involved with on a physical level, where things are going to need to go to the next level, right? Whatever that is. And he has to kind of make that decision, but he knows that he's pulled in these two directions, right? So he's either anticipating it, or it's just kind of here now. So he knows that he's got this decision. Now, if you're involved with this guy on the physical, like you are dating him, you guys are in communication, don't panic, because not for all of these guys are they involved with two women on the physical at the same time, where they're dating both of these women, in communication, sleeping with both of these women. That's really not for everybody. I feel for a lot of you, he's with a person, but there's something from his past that's kind of pulling on him, and it's for different reasons. Some of these people, it's pulling on them for some type of materialistic reason that he may or may not actually identify as materialistic. Right? He might think that it's something more. And I think maybe culture and tradition, something where it just kind of boils it down to this equational energy of like, traditionally I'm supposed to do this and this is my responsibility or whatever. But he thinks it's more than just this materialistic kind of thing. So it could be for a materialistic draw, but that's part of the karma here. He's got to work that out for himself. Or it could be for an emotional reason. And again, he might not realize that that's what it is. It's some type of like emotional reason. But again, he needs to work that out for himself. And there might be an overlap here where he needs like answers or something. But again, there could very well be a love match here between him and somebody. But I feel like his karmas are kind of catching up with him, because I think that maybe there was a conversation that needed to occur, and it needed to occur in in a certain way, in a quality kind of way. And so he needs some type of answer here, and he's pulled back to the past. But for some of you, I will say, he is actually involved. This is just for some, with two women at the same time on the physical. But whoever he's involved with on the physical, whether that's one woman or whether it's two women, he has not disclosed that he is dating somebody else, or he has not disclosed some kind of information here about his ex. That's another karmic decision here that this man doesn't understand, because I feel he just feels at the whim of everything. He just feels like he's victimized. Well, I didn't mean to. And I mean, this is just kind of excuses, my glove was too big, the sun's in my eyes, and I tripped over a rock. I mean, he just doesn't understand his kind of own Aries energy. And again, that's part of the karma. It feels like the karmas that he is like really that are at play here that make this the karmic situation that it is. And there's kind of like a karmic pileup here, and it has to do with his decisions, the little, almost seemingly insignificant decisions that he's made to involve with people. And he thinks, oh, well, it's like not a big deal, but it is. And it leads to things kind of just getting out of hand. Maybe he's sleeping with these people, now somebody's pregnant, or, gosh, you've been just kind of talking for 3 months and his heart really hasn't been in it. He's barely even been there. But I mean, this person thinks that they're having a relationship. You see what I'm saying? So there's this karmic pileup of small, seemingly inconsequential decisions that lead to these kind of bigger decisions. And he puts himself in that kind of situation. But this pileup energy, I don't know if you've ever used a sewing machine before, and then sometimes your thread gets all messed up and then the fabric starts to like just bunch up and it's all very quick and it just gets out of your control. And then you have to stop and then you have to like untangle everything, and it's just this mess. That's what I feel like is going on here. And it's because karmically, he does not understand the Aries Libra axis. And I feel like these karmas are really playing out in a Libran realm. And I think more accurately, this is like a Venus realm. Venus is the planet that rules over the sign Libra, and it also rules over the sign Taurus. And I feel like actually both signs are involved here, but those are really just the consequences, because actually the root of his decision here, and he has not put this together, and unfortunately I think he's got a group of friends that are not assisting this, the root of everything is Aries. The root is with him, because it's giving Emperor wannabe. I feel like this guy is it's giving that's Four of Pentacles is my Emperor wannabe card, and I feel like that's his energy, and he needs to take responsibility with that, and he needs to address that directly. So he's got a very material worldview, and he's kind of obsessed with it, but it's because that's where he himself feels lacking. It could be that some of these men, I just heard, I'm just a poor boy from a poor family, and he feels like that's his value and his worth in the world, but he feels that relationship, I don't know, he's like focused very much on relationship. He's not focused on Virgo. I kind of feel like this man needs to be focused on Virgo. Now, for those of you that are following the astrology of this, if you're not, don't worry about it. Don't put your focus on the wrong thing here. Put your focus on the concepts, because I'm pretty good at that, at making sure I explain the concepts. But for those of you that are tracking the astrology, Virgo and Aries overlap on the light grid, means that if you use that kind of a system, you can read planets that are in Virgo as being in Aries and vice versa. And I feel like he needs to focus on Virgo. He needs to be alone. It's Hermit energy, right? He needs to be alone so that he can process his feelings and where it's going to lead to some type of wisdom, and he would know exactly what it is to do. But also Virgo has to do with our routines. He needs to build a healthy routine. And I also think that this man needs a skill, some type of profitable skill. And doing that, and also not being in a relationship, somehow that helps him conversationally. And that might sound strange, but because I feel like a lot of these men are good conversationally on a superficial level. And I don't think you clocked that. And we'll talk more about that here in just a second. But I also think if he runs to a relationship, especially a karmic relationship where he's seen in a certain light that he hasn't necessarily earned, and that is a karmic relationship. He's not meant to be with that person because it's the shortcut. That's the devil energy. So he never gets to start at the bottom. And I actually feel like the partner that he's with, that's the value. And we'll talk more about that in a second too. That's the value that she or he actually brings, is that he gets the opportunity to start at the bottom, and therefore to build new skills in himself, to correct something from the inside out. And he'll forever know how to do that, like on a soul level. That's the value that somebody brings to the table. It's not being seen that way though, because he kind of doesn't know his ass from his elbow. And a lot of, and then the way that he goes about it further confuses him. And it's kind of giving just like a bag of squirrels in this man. And I think I said that in yesterday's reading too. It's just, everything is so confused and convoluted, and only he can give himself clarity. And he doesn't really know how to do that. And it's this Aries Virgo energy that's really missing. But that's just one aspect of the karmas here. The other aspect of the karmas that he's working out has to do with this like Venus energy, which again is connected to this Libra Taurus energy. So the first thing that I don't think he understands here, that's kind of giving rise to this like painful situation in the physical, is I don't think that he understands women. And again, that might surprise you because I think that for a lot of you, this guy's good with women. He's good with conversing with women. And I think small talk, making a good impression. And really, that's not a deep energy. He has kind of conversational chemistry with a lot of people because he knows how to be polite and like I said, make a good first impression and kind of small talk with just about anyone. And so because of that, he just knows how to suck a little bit of sweetness out of the person who's in front of him. And that really is kind of everybody, but he's a charmer, I think, but this has to do with women. So it kind of casts a wide net. He never really dips beneath the surface. He doesn't ever go deeper. So he gets very confused. And also the women that deal with him get very confused because they have this kind of conversational compatibility with him that feels special and unique to them. But actually he really just has that with literally everyone. And it creates options for him and he thinks that's beneficial, but it's actually not. They don't really get beneath the surface here. And that brings me to the next thing. Karmically, I do not think that he understands Venus and Libra rule over one-to-one dynamics, but so one-to-one relationships, but one-to-one conversations. And that is really what's pulling a lot on this. The one-to-one conversations that he is choosing to have with certain people and he's choosing not to have with other people. And again, I think he's strategizing. He thinks that this is strategic or advantageous to withhold certain bits of information so that he is the chooser. And let me tell you, this is not the man you want to be in the position of chooser because he doesn't know how to choose. And that's why he involves his friends, which we're kind of, or somebody else here, which we're working up to here. He thinks that's advantageous when it's not. Again, this man confuses himself by the way that he meets the world because like I said, the one-to-one conversations that are being had and are not being had are really playing out with the karmas here. And this is a guy who will really piss on your leg and tell you that it's raining because being called out like this, he'll be like, but I did have a one-to-one conversation with that person, but the quality wasn't there. He didn't tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help him God. And he doesn't understand the levers and the pulleys that are wrapped up in that you get different results in your one-to-one conversations, depending on what you yourself bring to the table. That goes back into that Aries energy because Libra is nothing if it's not two Aries individuals sitting on those scales, able to kind of balance each other out. What do I mean by that? I mean, two people who know exactly who they are. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about with Venus, which is they understand their own values and principles, which I don't know that he knows. And that's not just what am I looking for in a partner and how do I have conversations about that? Not in a superficial way, because if I just tell you outright, I value honesty, what person's going to say, well, I don't value honesty, whether they actually value honesty or whether they don't. Nobody is going to really say, well, I value dishonesty, right? Like, how do you have conversations where it really gets to the values of things, right? But those Aries individuals know who they are and they trust themselves. They have that gives somebody a kind of confidence where they can put it kind of all on the table. They can be honest and they can tell the whole story and that treats the other person like an equal. That's where that comes from, right? They treat the other person like an equal. They have respectful conversations, which includes saying the truth, even if you feel like it's going to hurt somebody here. And that means that they give their partner their own sovereignty and they give their partner their own choice here, because I guarantee you, these two women that he's involved with, either on a physical level or his heart still, or his mind, something's preoccupied with something here from the past. If this conversation was had with whoever or multiple people that he is with, whether he's dating two people here on the physical or just one person, if that's spoken about openly, hey, I'm not really sure. I have something here that I need to figure out in regards to a relationship from my past. That is mature, first of all. And it puts something over onto her plate or his plate, whoever this partner is, and it allows them to then make a choice with that information. And some of these partners, especially for the guys that are dating two people at once, I kind of feel like there's a love match here. I actually think that there's a genuine love match. Now, he might identify this as a love match or not, because like I said, a lot of these guys are not in touch with themselves emotionally and they're preoccupied with the physical. So and they also have a deep belief in their own lack in some kind of way. And so that can build up some type of intense attraction and that he might be mistaking for love. And he has to work that out, in himself, right? That this person's not really who they think that he is, Sorry, I could feel my mind going blank, so I shut the camera off for a second, but I couldn't remember the exact words that I was using to make this a seamless transition. So sorry if I repeat myself a little bit here, but basically these two people that this masculine is involved with, he has a strong notion that at least one of them has the stuff to end it with him. basically. Like if he steps out into the light, which by the way is the only ethical choice here. And karmically, it is what he owes this person, both of them really. He owes them this open, honest conversation where he says the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so that he honors this other adult and they have the information that they need to make their own sovereign decision about whether or not they will involve with him or whatever situation that he's got going on. And he knows that. And he knows that somebody here may well leave. And so he is deciding to withhold certain information because he thinks that is advantageous. He thinks that puts him in some type of power position where he still gets to hold on to these two people. And maybe if enough time goes by or they just won't notice, or I don't know. But he thinks by not disclosing something here that is a better position for him and that it gives him his choice. Well, let me tell you something. This man is the last person who should be making any kind of choice because he's not good at it. And part of his karmic lesson here is if you can't make the choice, sometimes the information that you need is allowing somebody else to make the choice, and that will reveal something here to you. And he's trying to avoid that. And listen, this is where this gets into hairy territory, especially if Schmegs is involved, because he is now entering, in my opinion, and I don't really think it's an opinion, but I'm just saying it. This is grape. This is coercion. And we do live in a patriarchal society where men are allowed to treat us this way. There's not, nobody tells them that this is gross and wrong and unethical and harmful and traumatic. Nobody holds their feet to the fire in regards to this, but that is exactly what this is. He doesn't care as long as it advantages him. And again, these are two women that he claims to care about. Now, the other thing here is we've got ego and pride that are involved in this, obviously with him, and not in a healthy way either. But obviously for these two women that he has now put in this position, it can't be any other way that their ego and their pride is now going to be wound up in this situation and possibly like harmed and bruised. And to be frank, you don't do that to somebody that you claim to care about. You just don't, especially when it can be avoided by having some type of conversation. So I don't know that this man truly knows what love is or caring is like for another person, or he defines it. He's got to do some mental gymnastics here to sleep at night and to be okay with himself. But their ego and pride is wound up in this. And I think that the way this is going to go for both of these women strongly depends on their relationship with their own ego and their own pride. And I think that he does feel at least one of these women has a healthier relationship with that. He might well know that at least one of these women has like a low self-esteem. And that is just abject cruelty because he knows that he's put her in a position where he kind of knows that she has low self-esteem and that she won't deal with that where it needs to be dealt with, which is like internally, and that she won't say to herself, like, you deserve better than this. And, you need to like cut yourself away from the situation. He knows that she won't do that. And that essentially she will want to get in a game of tug of war with him, or she won't want to let go because he is this proxy for her self-esteem. When she doesn't want to let him go and she wants to fight another woman for him, it's basically her trying to pull on her own self-esteem, and she'll never gain it that way. And he knows it. And he knows it. So it's just cruelty that's playing on over there. But I do think that at least one of these women has a healthier sense of like self-preservation and self-respect. And at least one of these women is meant to be this mirror where when he steps out into the light, and he's kind of avoiding this on some level, I feel like he knows this, she will be everything that he can't be. Where the moment that he says, look, I've been seeing two people, or I've got this situation with my ex where either I feel some type of emotional pull there that I feel like I need to explore. And it truly feels like it's because there was not some type of direct conversation that was had here. If he's confused about, he thinks it's an emotional pull, but this isn't the best person, and he's just confused about that. That's what I'm saying. A bunch of these seemingly inconsequential little decisions have led to bigger decisions, right? Like there's something here. Or if it's truly a situation here where, okay, well, they've got a kid together, or there's some type of religional or cultural expectation. I feel like I have to marry her because my parents would this or that, right? Still, when he steps out into the light, it's going to say something to this other person, and it's just going to light up, boom, 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 right along the lines of value, to where this person's going to say, wow, I really loved you. I really cared a lot about you. And clearly, if there's another person involved here, you don't feel the same way about me that I feel about you. And as painful as that is for me to see and have to now go process and deal with and reckon with, I'm glad I know, because I'm going to make this decision to call it, and to protect myself so that I can go on and meet somebody else, and be in another situation or find my own happiness, find where I go. The other thing is because for some of these men, they're going to say, no, I do love you, but don't you understand that I'm in this situation here? And that's lighting up the values thing for her, where she's saying, clearly you are not the man that I thought you were. Because first of all, I believe in your own value. And that's the thing with this guy is he has a strong belief in his own lack, and whatever it is, it's like material. So it could be to do with his body or his family, but I think it has to do with money, and he's obsessed with materialism. And so it just sets his mind up in a certain way that he is like refusing to tackle. And I feel like that's what his love match here really is. Whoever his love match is, she's kind of here to prove him wrong. He has a very fixed oriented mindset, and she'll prove him wrong, rocking side by side, wiping the tears off of his eyes while he grows stronger and stronger with her. And they live a life that he didn't think was possible, or he will not be able to live up to that. And she'll prove him wrong from a distance. But either way, that somebody here is in his life to do just that, because he's wrong. But coming out into the light here, where he's like kind of lied to her about something, that's what she's going to say. Clearly, you're not the man that I thought you were, because I believe in your value. I think that you're worth a lot more than this. But also values are a difference here, because we both clearly disagree about the way that we feel other adults should be treated here. You should have disclosed this information. I feel that you should respect other adults. You should let them have their own decision here. And I think he's full of this but I'm stuck over here in this situation. I just felt this pull towards you. I wanted to experience it. It's so selfish, So knowing that you're stuck, even if it's not a love situation, which I don't even know if I can believe you because you've already lied, right? But if you know that you can't get out of this situation, why are you involved with me? You clearly don't care about my heart. This is an unempathetic stance. You're talking about your emotions. You have so much emotions for me, but you don't have any empathy for me. You've chosen this hellhole, and you have chosen it. I don't care what pressures are on you. I don't know. I feel like I'm the person for you to hear this from, because I have had to make some very difficult decisions where I've really gone against the grain, and I've really gone against things that were expectational of me, but I knew that it wasn't right. And so I know it can be done. And this person's just refusing to do it, right? So that's what he is kind of running away from in the sense of this one-to-one conversation, because it will give him the answers that he needs about himself and about this other situation. It could be that if there is love here, it's okay, well, then you have to leave that situation. And we're not involved until you do, But you can take that as an ultimatum. You can take it however you want. But the fact of the matter is, I've got to protect myself here. And if you're a different person, you need to show me that you're a different person, So that's moving on to the next thing here that I think this man doesn't understand karmically is value. And we've already touched on a little bit about this, where I think he might not understand his own value. And that's kind of weird because he's a bit weaselly. And I think for some of these men, there's certain traits about themselves, and I think it might be their looks and their conversational skills that they have leveraged. So that is a certain kind of awareness of some type of value that they bring to the table. But it's very much giving Aladdin, that riff-raff street rat kind of energy, again, because he's obsessed with some kind of lack that he has and this material world view. And it's very much you were born a street rat, you will die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you. It's a very fixed oriented mindset. And research has backed up that it's not true. Fixed oriented mindsets are not true. Progress, process oriented mindsets are true. And he refuses to engage in any type of process where he starts from the bottom and he deals with himself at the root. And he builds himself into a person who can have a skill and who can market himself. He seems to be okay communicating with people, right? Leverage it for yourself. Don't leverage it to attach yourself to somebody here. It's just keeping him weak. So his own value is, I think, a problem here. And because he can't stand in a position of his own value, which I would call this the emperor energy, right? He doesn't have the Aries stuff, under control, where he knows who he is and he's well-rounded himself. That affects his mindset. That affects his outlook. And like I already said, you've already got a man here who is obsessed with his own lack and very materialistic. So he's going to be conniving, I feel, if he doesn't address this directly. So he struggles to assess other people's value because he, I think, literally tabulates how much somebody is worth. And again, he's got a fixed oriented mindset, not a process oriented mindset. So he has that with himself, but also with other people. So when he's comparing one situation to another situation here, he's looking and saying, look, this situation's already fully formed, because somebody here comes from a rich family or they've already got their career going. I'm telling you, somebody else here maybe doesn't, but maybe this is the love match. This isn't true for everybody, the way that this kind of goes. Somebody here's like a seed and they have again, he doesn't know how to assess value. They've got everything that they need. They've got good routines. They've got a good self-belief. They're meeting themselves at the root. They have, at the root of their issues. They're not afraid to go slow. They're not afraid to fall on their butt and like learn resilience. Somebody here's really got it going on, and he doesn't really know how to see that. And it affects who he is as a person. And I do think that somebody here, and I think I said this earlier in the reading, where somebody's value that they bring to the table is karmically his ability to meet himself at the root, to learn new skills and to build his own self up. That's going to clear a lot of his karmas. And he gets to walk hand in hand next to somebody who's, I think, good at it. I think I just heard came from the gutter looking like my mother, and they're not intimidated by it. I actually think somebody here gets a great sense of pride, and there's a lot of wind in their sails for knowing that it's like, look, I did it. I did that. You know, I've always said to myself, like at the end of my life, I just want to look around me and I want to know I built everything. Like I did that, you know, even when it was hard, even if I live in a cardboard box, that will be my cardboard box. And I'll be like, well, this was it, wasn't it? And I just want to be proud of myself, you know, that I never gave up on myself, you know, and that I always had my own back, and that, I didn't do unethical things, and, you know, all that stuff. And I feel like you're kind of like that. A lot of you can resonate with that. He's not like that. He just wants nice stuff. It doesn't matter if it comes from somebody else. I'm also getting this image of this guy in my mind of, I'm seeing him dressed in like maybe I don't know, brands or something, but he looks weird to me in it. Like it's not really his style. Everything's like new, but it looks kind of, I don't know, I'm picturing somebody standing next to him now that's like kind of grungy, but like cool, you know, like they don't have like the newest anything or whatever. Their sneakers are like whatever, but maybe they drew their own something on the side of it or something. Like they're just fully themselves. I don't know. It just feels like it doesn't fit this guy, but he thinks it makes him cool. I don't know. It's a little bit like cringe or something. But yeah, so value. The other thing is values here. I don't think that this is a man who knows his own values. And again, like I said, I think that this is somebody good in conversation, good with women, good in conversation, but kind of keeps it on a superficial level. So doesn't know how to have conversations around who are you? Like, what are your values? Do you share my values? Do you live your values? Right? So he doesn't know what his own values are. Because I think it's very clearly, it's not just like in a partner who has those values, but is he a man who lives his own values? And I think it's just no. I think if he professes to have the same values that somebody has here, I think they're empty. I think that they are hollow. So there is this decision to be made here, and it's causing him to confront all of these karmas. And because he has such a struggle here, and everything that he does, and it's the little decisions that he makes, and then it leads up to the big decisions. And he's like, I don't know, I was just put in this position. No, because being single is an option. Okay, I keep kind of coming back to that. Being single was an option here. For any length of time. So it's confronting him with these karmas, and he's got this decision to be made. And I think that's part of the warning here is that he has had some type of conversation. And if you are this masculine, don't have this conversation. Okay, the key to this is hermit mode. It's being single, being alone, going inward, developing wisdom, and Mercury energy. Learning, which is maybe learning a skill, having some type of routines, and also something here about conversation. And I keep circling back to this. He's good in conversation, but I think he runs to this karmic partner who maybe provides something on a physical level, some kind of status that affects the way that he speaks to people. Because it makes he speaks from a level of authority or status that he himself has not earned. So he doesn't know how to speak to people from the bottom. And that's what he'll need to learn in order to build himself. So he's not practicing the right conversational skills that he needs to. That's a part of it here. So that is a part of it. But because he doesn't know how to do all of this, and every decision he makes is seemingly unconscious, or it adds to his confusion. He doesn't know how to be clear here. He involves people in the situation that should not be involved. And I feel that a feminine here, or I think these feminines, have been discussed. And they haven't been discussed in a way that is helpful or human. I think that they have been reduced down to like an earthy element. And this is Venus rules over women. Venus debilitates in Virgo, which is kind of that sum of its parts energy. So to fully understand a woman, remember I told you it doesn't understand them, or to fully understand a relationship either. It's greater than the sum of its parts. But all he knows how to do is reduce things down to the sum of its parts. Now, remember way back at the beginning of this reading when I said equation is the perfect word to be used here? This is some type of equation here. And it's soulless. and it is heartless. And how could you be so heartless? Yeah, it's just absolutely heartless. And he's having these maybe one-on-one conversations, but it also could be with a group of friends here. And he's not being totally honest. That loops back around to that because he's not speaking about his emotions. I feel like he's in love with somebody here, or he thinks he's in love with somebody. And for some, it's like he's not really sure. Because somebody here, like, I don't know, I'm just getting that maybe somebody could have cheated on him and, was like kind of a nasty person, or they just like left him or something. And so there's like leftover, there's like no closure, and that's like kind of what he's feeling. But for somebody else, it's like she didn't actually cheat on him. He cheated on her, and she knew that and just kind of decided to keep it moving, to move in a different direction. But I just feel like there wasn't, a conversation between the two of them, the way that it should have unfolded. So he doesn't know. He doesn't have the information that he needs to have. So it puts them in this like no man's land. But he's been having this conversation with a group of friends. And this group of friends is a karmic group of friends. And there could be, I think for most of you, it is like a friendship group or like a certain friend. This is a karmic relationship, but for others of you, it could be like a mother figure or somebody who is like Virgo in their life, somebody who is like way too involved in the details. That's a karmic relationship, whoever that is. I just heard codependent. And he gives over that responsibility of making decisions. He delegates way too much of it out because he doesn't know how to make his own decisions for all the reasons that we've already been talking about. So this conversation this conversation should never happen. If this man was healthy and again, well-rounded, he would be in hermit mode. He would be going inwards. But it is happening. So this group of friends or, there's, this like sociology here between them, which is a word that I learned. And I can't remember if I brought this up earlier on in the reading. I'm so sorry. But he basically, in a patriarchal society, he likes women, or like he wants to date women. And you think that would make her the authority on like how he is in a relationship or how sexually fit he is, but it doesn't, because we live in a patriarchal society. So men have commandeered that. So if a woman says, no, that's not attractive or that's not okay, well, all of his man friends are hooping and hollering behind the scenes saying, don't listen to her. Being a real man is this way, that way. And if she doesn't think that, then there's something wrong with her, because we have the patriarchy and we get to say what women get to like and what they don't. So if she likes something different and that's like between the two of you, she's just wrong for that. And you shouldn't have a conversation. You guys, your relationship shouldn't be private between the two of you. We should be involved in it, and we'll tell you whether or not you're cool or whether or not you're a man. And so like I said, I think that these women have been discussed, but they've been discussed on a material level, like what they do for a living, what their routines are like, what they can provide. So this is a group of men that I think actually project very heavily outwards onto women. And they accuse women of being exactly what they are, which I think is gold diggers and very superficial. And so I think they've looked at these women from a superficial lens, and they've reduced somebody down and said, oh, well, that's just superficial or whatever. But they're the superficial ones. They're the ones that are strategizing. They're the ones that are gold digging. These are karmic. It's a karmic relationship or like karmic friendships, and it needs to be cut away from. And I just think it's wrong if the conversation at all is being had. But when he makes this decision, whatever this is, I don't know where you're at on the timeline here, but this love match, he's really going to break their heart, I feel like. Just realizing that he's been involved with somebody else, or that he's choosing somebody else for like these material reasons, however it is that he like kind of goes about it. Because for some, it's like this friend group is saying, no, you should go have sex with her or go get involved with her. You deserve to do that, even though you're stuck in this other situation. And then he's going to pull out and leave her heartbroken, and it's wrong, and it's karmic, and it's immoral. And, but either way, I think that maybe that's the advice that he's getting. This is the warning here. This is the warning. So he will carry the burden forever of the responsibility of breaking this other person, breaking their heart. But then again, there wasn't a conversation the way that it should have been. And he is pretending it's emperor wannabe. And if he goes towards this karmic relationship, which I feel like he's inclined to, because everything here seems like it's going wrong. He's going to make that decision, and it is going to be permanent. I don't know if he thinks that he can leave the door open here with this other person, but that's not the case. And for some, it's because she loves him, and clearly he doesn't love her the same. And that's how she's going to take it, And so she's like, I got to get away from this. But I don't know. He could misjudge some of these, but it just feels like something here is permanent and he might reunite with somebody here. But again, it feels like for the wrong reasons. But whoever this love match is, because I do feel there's a love match here. And I feel that they've been wrongly judged because people don't know how to judge value here. And there's just a horde of them, like a karmic group of men or something here. But somebody who really does have all the stuff, they are going to keep working. They're going to keep at it. And I feel like this is going to come to some type of tragic end. But whenever it does, she's going to be out of reach of him. And because she has resolved within herself this conflict. And because there's Libra and Saturn energy here, which Saturn exalts in Libra. And I feel like this is this love match, right? Where he's working out his own karmas in this relationship if he chooses to go with her, right? But I kind of feel like maybe that's not the way this is shaping up to go, and it might be a warning. I don't know. I don't want to sound the alarm here if that's not the case. So there is somebody here where, and if that's the case, then I feel like he is going to see her worth more and more and more, where he's really going to think over the course of their life together, what the fuck was wrong with me? Nobody holds a candle to this lady. This is my love. This is somebody who is amazing, really amazing, like on a lot of levels. And I'm so grateful and glad every single day that I get to be with her, And that's going to just come more and more to fruition. That's a possibility. But if he chooses this karmic relationship, then I feel like it's the binding karmic nature of Saturn, where he's not working through his karmas. I think there's maybe a contract here, a marriage contract probably, or some other kind of contract where he feels bound. And he feels responsible and possibly defensive because this person that he's with, this is a karmic relationship between the two of them, right? So presumably this person also has a soulmate, and it's either somebody from their past, and it could even be a same sex person here, or it's somebody that a friend group is going to introduce them to, and it's it's soulmates reuniting. And this is going to flare him up because I think this person may be inclined to indulge in that relationship in some way. Maybe they are bound here by social expectation, but he's going to see that. Something here doesn't make him feel like a man, which if the shoe fits, and it's going to make him feel defensive, in which case I feel like he's going to then check up on this partner from his past, and she is going to be bloomed into the seed, because he compared her seed of like, well, I don't know, that's just a seed, to somebody else like, oh, this is all full grown here. That seed is going to be in full bloom, or it's going to be, he's going to tell what kind of plant it is. That's a rose bush, that was, damn. He's going to see it either way. He's going to see it either way because that's his karma's kind of unfolding. So this has been a long one. There's some type of heads up here. And there's Chitra energy, which Chitra is always like huge chunks of karma. And this guy has relational karma. He's got to cut away. He's got a lot of karma. He's got to cut away from this friend group or this particular friend that's kind of like the alpha that maybe he wants to impress. That's another thing here is like maybe he's feeling pressured to make a decision because his friends are all getting married or something. But there's a friend group that needs to go. Somebody here that he allows to make his decisions. It could be a group of friends. It could be his mom. It could be some Virgo person that's like always around him. Or maybe there's multiple people that dip in and out of that, but he just always offloads the decisions of his life onto other people. That's got to go. That's a huge chunk of karma that gets thrown away here. There's a karmic relationship that he would never be involved with if he was like a healed, whole, knowledgeable person. That's got to go. And everything that they build together, a business, a relationship, it's wrong. And like, it just kind of has to go. And the way that he treats his soulmate, it's got to go. There's huge chunks of karma here. And he can choose to do that by walking on the journey with his soulmate here. Or he can do that by returning to something from his past, being deceitful, withholding, not having one-to-one relationships here. In which case, that's going to fall apart. Some kind of painful ending here. It's going to make him feel defensive. And it leads exactly to that Four of Pentacles energy. He feels stuck, like on a material level. He might have something, but it's small and he just feels stuck. And he's blocked off and he's just putting on a show for people, which again, that seems to be what he thinks he's good at here. So yeah, that's what I have for you. But there's a warning here that this is maybe potentially going on behind the scenes. So especially this conversation with like a friend, I feel like this is a trigger. This is something here where that's why what this message is coming forward, because there's a lot of spirit guide energy here that's protecting this maybe the women involved here, or just like this love match especially. And the spirit guides are all men. I mean, I know they're beyond gender, but they're masculine in their energy. They're very good at this, like kind of, they can judge a man. And I feel like they've put him in this situation because his heart is very much being judged. And when he kind of comes to here, she's going to be out of reach. And she's going to realize that she's everything that he ever wanted, that it's yin to the yang, and that he is absolutely stupid as fuck for entertaining anything else. This was literally dumb. And he might even feel betrayed by these other people, but they shouldn't have been involved. He shouldn't have involved them. And he did. He gave them more of an authority over their relationship than he gave her, and she was half of it. So, all right, that's what I have for you. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye, guys.